The promise of mobility is very basic to us all. And in India, the freedom we get on two wheels is even more so. The last year has given us much to celebrate in the two-wheel space. It is time to find out which amongst those products deserves the crown of CNB's two-wheeler of the year.
The Buddh International Circuit is tied to a tradition, not just because of its track and facilities, but because it provides a safe and controlled environment for testing. Welcome to the Carandbike Awards Jury Meet 2022. I am Gulpanag.
From scooters, adventure motorcycles, commuter motorcycles and superbikes, as well as premium scooters.
The nominees have different flavors to suit every kind of customer need and budget in the world's largest two-wheeler market.
It's a bright sunny day and the members of the jury are looking forward to an eventful outing at the BIC.
You met some of the jury members of the scooters and motorcycles round. Now, meet the rest.
The Carandbike Awards are the most credible in the industry, and boy, this is one charged lineup of machines to look forward to.
The entry-level segment of the market is where you see the maximum competition, and that's because this is where the maximum volumes come from.
While the Raider is a fun 125cc offering, the Yamaha FZX has a higher displacement and grabs attention with its funky crossover design.
Entry-level customers are looking for style, they want performance, they want substance, they look for very good ride comfort. At the same time, they want very good fuel economy and an affordable bike.
The Raider really stands apart because it's got fantastic handling. It doesn't feel like a 125. When I rode it first, here also today we rode it, but it's a very, very well-rounded product. It's got a 125cc engine, it's got riding modes, eco and power. Good engine, good performance and good handling. And it looks also quite nice and well built. So all good marks really about a TVS Raider.
It is similar in the increasingly relevant scooter segments. More power, more innovation, and definitely more features.
Not nearly as many scooters as last year for sure, and none of the EVs. We had so many last year, right? Well, you know what? There are 3 that are nominated this year, but none of them have showed up, and that happens sometimes at the jury meet. But what's surprising is that despite all our best efforts, with the massive PR machinery at Ola, they didn't even send in the S1 Pro.
Focusing on the ones that weren't scared to show up, there's a stylishly chic Aprilia SXR 125 blending sharp styling with commuter-oriented performance. TVS Motor Company introduced a practical, universal, appealing 125cc scooter in the Jupiter 125, while Suzuki India intends to take the fight to the premium and sporty 125cc segment with its sleek and chiseled Avensis 125, which even has Bluetooth on board. And then there's the Yamaha AEROX 155, a performance-oriented scooter with a 155cc engine, which promises an interesting outing for the jury members.
The AEROX gets its heart from the R15, which gives it a huge performance edge in this segment. At the same time, the styling is really noteworthy.
The higher-end scooter making a segment debut at the CMB Awards is the BMW C400 GT.
Now let's look at the entry-level modern classic segment, the bikes that tug at the heartstrings, and these bikes are racking up the sales charts as well.
This year we have the new Royal Enfield Classic 350, which is contested by the Honda CB350 RS for the stab at the winning spot. It's like a repeat of the huge throwdown we had between their siblings last year, the Royal Enfield Meteor 350 and the Honda Highness. The Royal Enfield went on to win, remember?
The attitude, class and comfort of the modern classic segment is very appealing, but the adventure segment is fast catching up, and a significant number of volumes have actually shifted from the modern classic segment to the adventure segment.
ADV flavor is not just in the higher end segments. Even entry-level adventure bikes seem to have become a favorite with the Indian motorcycle enthusiast of late.
Hero has definitely upped their game from their Impulse to the X-Pulse today, and year on year they've just been evolving with it, and I think that's exactly why there's no contention between that and the Honda.
I really like the Hero X-Pulse. I think it's got a very good stance and it handled beautifully. For me, it was quite a surprise. I've always been partial to the adventure segment, and I really enjoyed that. I mean, in that segment, I thought that was quite standout for its design, for the way it handled, for how well balanced the bike was. So I think that definitely stood out as far as the entry-level adventure segment is concerned.
The next category is the Performance Motorcycle of the Year, and the BAJAJ PULSAR 250 Twins are the only offerings here. Will the jury give them a default win? We will see.
I really like the Pulsar, both the naked street version as well as the one with the fairings. I was very, very impressed. I mean, I was just, in fact, when I was riding on the long stretch, I was thinking to myself how far that bike has come over the years, over its different generations, from when I was first in the jury almost 10 years ago. And I was just marveling at what a smooth, well-made product the Pulsar is.
The Pulsar is very enjoyable to ride. They've definitely upped their game in this segment, I would say.
The Pulsar 250s are good bikes, yes, but they somehow, to me, feel a couple of years older. Look at the instrument console, look at the design, look at the whole package, the dynamics and performance package. The others have moved forward. If you look at the other bikes in the segment, they're still good bikes. I'm not saying they're bad bikes, but it was an opportunity lost for Bajaj. The Pulsar 250 with that strong Pulsar brand name could have been much better.
It's time to get the big bikes heading onto the track in the Premium Sports Motorcycle of the Year category. The European Vita class nakeds are here to set the track on fire with the Ducati STREETFIGHTER V4 and the Triumph Speed Triple RS promising impressive lap times.
Speaking of speed machines, how can we close the subject of speed machines without referring to the very impressive Japanese contingent? And of course, there can't be any better speed icon than the Suzuki Hayabusa. This is of course an extremely impressive machine, and when we take it together with all the entrants we've had from Europe as well, it's been a bumper year for the high performance class, and it's been a fantastic experience to ride them all.
While extremely different in their build and performance, all three bikes made the Mercury rise.
The quintessential Italian part has the Italian grunt in it. It feels like you're riding a naturally aspirated bike. Definitely the Japanese have their own refinement to the finish and fit and the feel of the bike. It doesn't really feel like you're riding a super bike, but then only when you go above 4000 RPM is when you realize that the bike is doing 200. So that's how you get to know that you're riding a super bike. But other than that, I think the other bike also has has so much to offer, and I think they all stand out in their own ways, and they are excellent bikes to be ridden.
STREETFIGHTER, the Ducati STREETFIGHTER, that was absolutely insane, and this is the best place to ride a bike like that. 286 I touched in the back straight, so that's the fastest that I've ever gone. I really was surprised with the Hayabusa as well.
Next, the middleweight offering, the premium performance motorcycle of the year category. This is the most crowded segment this year.
There's enough drama that would keep us debating with the strong contenders like the Ducati Monster, the Triumph Trident 660 and the Honda CB 650R.
Adding a neo-retro and dynamic flair is the Kawasaki Z650 RS.
So let's look at the middleweight nakeds. We have the Triumph Trident 660, the Honda CB 650, as well as the neo-retro Kawasaki Z650 RS. Of course, in the middleweight scheme of things, we also have the new Ducati Monster. Much more performance-oriented, more expensive than the rest, but it's still a middleweight, so it competes with the Trident 660 and the Honda 650R.
I think this segment, the middle segment, is definitely growing in India. There's a lot of popularity for that. I really liked all the bikes that I rode in that segment. The Honda was, I would say, probably my favorite, and very nimble, very nice to ride around over here on the track. But at the same time, the other bikes as well, really like those too. The Kawasaki, it's something that makes a lot of sense in the city as well. So I really enjoyed riding all the bikes in this segment.
If I really had to pick, I'd go with the Triumph.
Why would that?
It just handled really well. It's difficult to explain because with the bike, it's like how you feel on it and whether you and the bike are just one. And I think that the Triumph makes you feel that way. It just sort of seems like an extension of you. It doesn't seem like you're sitting on a bike and you kind of blend into the bike, and that's the only way I can explain it. Of course, it's sort of a first among equals because, like I said, the Honda and the Ducati are very fine machines. But maybe it's the way the saddle feels. Maybe it's just the stance. I just thought that it worked for me at every level.
More ADV action, but the premium kind.
In the adventure class, we've got two bikes that sit right at the pinnacle that are fighting it out this year. The Pan America from Harley-Davidson and, of course, the Multistrada from Ducati needs no introduction to this space. Now, we've already had our go with them on the track, which was plenty fun, but really, this is where they belong. Time for some off-roading.
The tech-laden Multistrada V4 certainly has a long list of gizmos in its arsenal. But Harley-Davidson's first adventure bike is no pushover either. It's down to the wire and clearly a tough choice to make for any adventure-loving enthusiast.
The Harley-Davidson, a big surprise, very easy to ride, very user-friendly for such a big ADV. I was quite satisfied and taken aback by how forgiving, how friendly it was to ride, and it's a good bike. However, when compared to this, the Ducati is a complete league ahead. Even though it's at a premium on cost, this would be my pick because the electronics, the styling, the capability of the bike and the handling, performance, it all comes together, it's a wonderful package.
A spread of over 20 bikes in 9 categories. This is not an easy task for the jury.
After a hard day of testing each two-wheeler, the jury now makes notes on the performance, styling and practicality that each of them has to offer, rating each motorcycle on several parameters, each individual scoring contributing to each nominee's overall score. Our tabulator, Grant Thornton Bharat, oversees the process and we select the individual category winners and the overall two-wheeler of the year.
Credibility, accuracy and complete transparency. That's what we follow every year and very confident that is what has happened here today as well. And the good part is that despite keeping track of all of that, we also ended up having a lot of fun. And we will end up with the best possible winners across all categories.
So now the wait begins, eagerly and excitedly, to know which two-wheelers take home the coveted trophies of the 2022 Car and Bike Awards, India's most credible automobile awards.